Principle.
Like there's no, like it's just plain.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in the right ballpark. Why does the Bible saying that not prove that it's true? I'm sitting here, I'm a Muslim. And you show me that verse, there it says it right there. And what's the answer?
Their Bible or their Quran says.
The Quran says something different.
So who's right? and who's
Exactly. And if we don't accept the Quran, can we demand that they, without evidence, accept the Bible? Well, it's the Bible. Okay, that's the Quran. Okay, now where have we gotten?
No.
Nowhere. So what is the answer to, okay, the Bible makes that claim, so what? What's the answer to that? Acts 17:31. Acts 17. Well, that's just another verse, but look at what it says.
Are you using this?
No, go ahead.
Acts 17:31. What's Acts 17:31 say? You can start at 30.
In the past, God overlooked such ignorance, but now he commands all people everywhere to repent. For he has set a day when he will judge the world, when he will judge the world with justice by the man he has appointed. He has given proof of this to everyone by raising him from the dead.
What's the proof?
The
The resurrection. And Christianity rises or falls on the resurrection. And there have been numerous people down through time who have set out to disprove the resurrection because they know if you disprove the resurrection, what happens? Christianity crumbles into the dust heap of history. Anybody know the name Simon Greenleaf? And no, it's not an elf from Lord of the Rings.
He wasn't an attorney, was he?
He was.
He wrote, who rolled away the stone or something like that?
No. Simon Greenleaf is called the founder of Western jurisprudence. 400 years ago, something like that. I think it was the 1600s. He wrote the definitive work on establishing a judicial system for England, which became the model for the United States. His greatest contribution was to define what is evidence.
He wrote, is that called the book or?
I don't know the name of the book, but he wrote
What?
He wrote a text. He wrote the definitive textbook on establishing a justice system. And among the things was, how do you establish evidence? One of the things he talked about was something that is inadmissible. It is still inadmissible today in any American court. What is it called? Hearsay. He said hearsay. He's the man that came up with the idea of hearsay. Well, Jack told me that his daughter did this. Doesn't mean a bloody thing.
Did you?
He said he did.
I don't care what Jack told me. I can't testify to anything. The only thing I can testify to is what?
eyewitness.
What I saw or experienced. I heard 3 gunshots. Well, Bob told me there were 3 gunshots. Then get Bob in here. What somebody told you doesn't count. It's hearsay. What you saw, I saw Mike run out of the 7-Eleven, trailing a line of cash behind him as he was running for his car, license plate.
With a Slurpee.
He got that fur.
That's the second thing he did is, okay, you've got eyewitness testimony. Mike says, I saw Matt robbing the 7-Eleven. And Matt brings in 4 of his buddies that go, oh no, We were playing poker at Jim's house on Tuesday night. Matt couldn't have done that. He's innocent as the driven snow. Well, if they believe his testimony, I guess he won big. How do you determine who's telling the truth? And he set up the rules for that. Rules like what? An enemy's testimony is more believable than a friend's testimony. If you're my best friend, yeah, you were at my house all night. How much is that worth? A lot less than if somebody who hates your guts and has been suing you for the past 6 months goes, yeah, I saw him walking out of the house at 10 o'clock. He was there all evening. Is that believable?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you saw him walking out of the house.
Motive. The friend has a motive to lie. I want to keep my buddy out of trouble, right? Does an enemy have a motive to lie for you?
No.
Yeah.
Lie the
Doesn't-
opposite.
Yeah, he's got a motive to lie the opposite, to get you into trouble. So if the enemy agrees with your time, then that's more powerful. Simon Greenleaf was the man that set all these kind of rules up. He established all that as the foundation for a fair legal system. He was also an avowed skeptic and wanted desperately to disprove the Bible. He set out to disprove Christianity. How do you do that? You prove that the resurrection is a hoax. After several years of concentrated study at the evidence, guess what? He became a Christian. He's not the first or the last to do that. But the things that he had established proved out. Things like, what is the evidence that Jesus rose from the dead? Eyewitness. I could go around the room and say, do you believe in the resurrection of Jesus?
Yes.
Does that carry any weight for testimony?
No.
Why?
It's hearsay.
You're not an eyewitness. You're claiming what you believe based on what somebody else said. So when you say, I believe in the resurrection, what is that? Hearsay. You believe what somebody else said. That's not admissible. But the people in the Bible, the 11 disciples and others, what claim did they make about the resurrection? Not only they saw him, but they also spoke to him, they touched him. Why is that significant?
You don't touch ghosts.
Which is easier to deceive, your eyes or your touch? How many people have gone to a sleight of hand magician? And how did he do that? I watched him. I don't know how he could do that. Eyes can be deceived quite easily. Touch, not so much. So therefore, they make the claim that we saw him, we touched him, we ate with him. Now, their statements are one of two things. What are they? True
Or lie.
or false. My statement, I believe in Jesus, can be one of three things. It can be truth, a lie, or I'm misinformed, right?
Yeah.
I believe it. I honestly believe it. I'm not lying to you but I've been misinformed. Theirs is either truth or a lie. Why? Because they're making the claim, I touched him. Is there any way to be misinformed about that? Nope. So if they're not telling the truth, it is a lie, a deliberate lie. What's their motive for lying?
Gain, some kind of gain.
There are only two reasons that people lie. What are the two reasons that people lie?
Get out of trouble.
To avoid something they don't want to happen, i.e. to get out of trouble. Or, what's the other one?
To gain something.
To gain something they do want to happen. Your computer is all filled with, give me control of your computer and I can fix it.
Sure.
Why are they saying that?
They want to steal.
They want to gain control of my, get my bank accounts and steal my money. So one of those two things. So let's look at them. What did the apostles gain from that?
They died.
So what did they gain? Did they gain wealth? Did they gain comfort? Did they gain acceptance, wide acceptance?
Positive.
They gained nothing. What did they lose? Comfort,
Yeah,
money,
they risk
popularity, and ultimately their
life.
lives by, and this is important, by what? They lost their lives by,
Execution.
not just execution, by
Suffering.
torture. And there's a difference. Why? I line you up against the wall, bang, you're dead. It's over. No second choices, bang, I'm dead. Is that how they died? They were nailed to a cross. What happens when you're nailed to a cross?
Yeah, hanging coil.
Hours to die, during which it is possible to save you. All you got to do is say, give the word, and we'll take you down from that cross. So it's not just that they died painfully. James the Less, how did he die?
Skinned alive. Oh, sawed in half.
Sawed in two. Bartholomew, how did he die?
Well,
He was skinned alive. You know, you talk about the Indian scalp people. They scalped him, except they didn't stop at the scalp. They kept going till they peeled the skin off of his entire body.
Cookies.
I don't think I would.
They're a nice red color.
Talking about scalping. Have a cookie.
Yeah.
Skin the cookie.
So again, is their testimony believable?
Yeah.
What's the second proof of the resurrection? Why? 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 Not necessarily. Why?
Oh, why?
To understand that, you have to go a little deeper and you have to ask, what did they do after Jesus died?
They sealed the tomb, put the guards there.
They put guards there. If you need to go into Woodbury today, you can go up Woodbury Glassboro Road. You're going to go by that cemetery on the right. Okay, know where I mean? Everybody know where I mean? How many armed guards are there in that cemetery?
None I've seen.
Why? Why don't we have armed guards in that
They
cemetery?
don't need any, they're dead, they're not going around.
Nobody's coming out.
Yeah.
Because there's no,
Their old fillings.
why did the Roman government guard the tomb? Jesus said he would rise in 3 days. So why did they guard the tomb? You have to understand
It was
this.
prophesied.
The disciples, they were afraid of the disciples.
How?
Steal the body.
Because they
No.
thought the tomb was still be filled.
They wanted,
How did they plan? What did they plan to do with a guarded tomb? Put a guard there for the rest of time?
3 days.
How long did they have to leave that guard there? 3 days. What were they going to do on the third day?
Take the body out.
They were going to open that tomb up. They were going to go in and grab that body, unwrap the wrappings, and then what were they going to do?
Say he's a liar.
They were going to slam it onto a 10-foot pole through his butt up through the top of the head. And what were they then going to do?
Parade it around.
They were going to walk through the center of Jerusalem with that body on that pole,
How do we know?
because we know how Rome worked. What did they do with crucified people?
They line the streets, leave them up there.
They would leave them up there until the body fully disintegrated. Why? So that every single person saw the fruit of what they had done. They weren't willing to offend the Jews by leaving him up on the Sabbath, but they were going to haul him back out and put him on public display. They were going to march through the city center of Jerusalem with that body on a pole and go, "There's your Messiah." End of the story. Any other questions, folks? And had they done that, how many Christians would there have been in all of human history?
None.
none.
Zero.
Pharisees did that for them.
So that was their plan to end Christianity. It wasn't enough to end Jesus. They needed to end his revolt. And that would have done it. Now, what's the problem? They don't have a body.
Right.
So it's not just that the tomb is empty, it's the bigger fact they don't have the body. That's the proof. Because they should have had a body.
Yeah.
They should have been able to parade it through the street. Christianity. And when the apostles started preaching on the day of Pentecost, what should have happened?
Hmm.
Let's bring that body back out one more time through the streets.
Yeah.
And what would have happened when it says there were 3,000 new believers on the day of Pentecost? What would have happened?
They had disappeared.
Those 3,000 guys would have said, "Boy, are we stupid." That would have been the end of everything. But did that happen?
No.
What's the only reason that it didn't happen? They didn't have the body. So now you have to get the body out of the tomb. What's the only ways to get that body out of the tomb?
Get rid of the guards first.
There are 3 ways. There are 3 ways. And only 3 ways. Number 1 is somebody come and forcefully steal the body from the guards, right?
Or pay the guards off.
What was the penalty for failing a post in the Roman Legion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds so peaceful. What was it?
Death by crucifixion.
Death by being burned alive.
Hmm.
Are you going to risk that for a bunch of Jewish rabble? So they'd have had to steal the body. From a Roman guard, not likely. Number 2, what's the second way that he could have come out of the tomb? The guard could have taken the body themselves. What's the problem with that one?
You're still going to get caught.
What motive would they have? Their motive was to keep him there.
Hmm.
What happens if they keep him there? Good shift, fellas. What happens if he shows up missing?
You're in trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble. So are they gonna steal the body?
No.
What's the third one? He walks out under his own power. There were people who tried to say that. Well, he came to in the tomb. He wasn't quite dead. He came to and got out of the tomb under his own power. What's the problem with that?
How did he roll the stone?
Yeah,
First of all, he's wrapped.
Yeah, but the wrapping was not unwrapped. It was just
Yeah,
hollow
but he's wrapped. Can he get out of that by himself?
out of the stone.
how did he move the stone?
There's a bigger problem than that. Yeah. Oh, that, yeah. What happened when they stabbed him?
Lost
Blood and water. Now, was it actual water?
No.
What was it that came out in scientific terms? Plasma and hemoglobin.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you die and your blood stops circulating? The red blood cells have what in them? It's the reason that we can breathe and it does something for us. No, well, it carries oxygen, but the cell itself has something in its core. Iron.
Hmm.
And that iron goes from a low oxygen bonding to a high oxygen bonding, and then it goes to the cell and it strips off the oxygen, gives the oxygen to the cell, comes back and picks up another oxygen. And because iron has two oxidation states, it can do that. Once you die, that red blood cell has iron in it. What is iron? Heavy. It coagulates down. Plasma does not have iron in it. It's lighter. It floats to the surface.
Oh.
When they stabbed him, the fact that both plasma and hemoglobin came out means his blood had separated. Can you be alive and your blood separate?
No,
Really?
No. Physically impossible. But let's ignore that for a minute. He has to. Where do they take him? If right now I received a serious gunshot, some clown walks through that door and goes, "I hate preachers," boom! And I take a serious, potentially deadly gunshot. What's the first thing you're going to do with me?
cover
Trying to
it
get
up.
you to the hospital.
You know, way before you try to get me, you're going to try to stop the bleeding. And what's the second thing? What medical attention? There are two things you're going to do if you want me to live. Well, that before any professional help gets here, there's two things you're going to do. Number one, you're going to try to put pressure on the wound and stop the bleeding as much as you can.
Shock.
Oh,
Keep you warm to prevent
Shock.
shock. Those are the two things any human being knows enough to do in a first aid. You don't need training for that. Stop the bleeding, keep the person warm. Where did they put Jesus?
Yeah, cold.
In an ice cold tomb. What happens to somebody who's suffering blood loss and is in shock if you put them in a cold tomb?
freeze.
What's the word? Hypothermia. He's dead. He's dead, Jim. He's dead, Jim. He's really, really dead, Jim. Captain Kirk. Dr. McCoy. He's dead, Jim.
There's also a lot of other things.
Yeah.
During the, I mean.
Yeah.
It's not a solid, but, you know, like, during the crucifixion.
Yeah.
You know,
We're ordering a new series of books
Okay.
instead of buying it. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
Instead of buying it and then getting reimbursed, it's a lot easier.
So
to just
much
use
easier.
the- Yeah, thank you so much.
if I can get that back, because I need to
Absolutely.
borrow a book or buy a book to replace
You
one.
should have made him answer one of the questions.
There you go.
Oh.
So all of these things are you, but then not only does Jesus have to do that, but then what else does he have to do? And this is the clincher.
That stone.
He has to get by the stone. And overpower the guards and run out into the night. Then what does he have to do? Less than 24 hours later, he has to appear to a group of his closest friends and convince them that he didn't survive the thing, but that he's a risen individual with superhuman powers. What is Jesus, if he survived all of that stuff, what's he going to look like?
Unrecognizable.
Well, you got meat, like to a pulp, disfigured, bloody,
Yeah, he was.
swollen.
In a word, he's going to look like death warmed over.
Doesn't that say it in Isaiah 52? It says
Yeah.
his visage, you wouldn't even
Yeah.
know it was a person.
He is going to look bad. How can a guy, that belongs on a hospital gurney, in Christ, and they're going to be like, if that's the resurrection, yeah, let's go with plan B. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I've gone through this to show you how you can deal with a skeptic and put them on the spot. Because it's very easy for the skeptic to go, well, I don't believe the Bible and you're stupid for believing the Bible. The Bible's not true. And instead of us going, wait a minute, you've got to defend that Jesus didn't rise from the dead. Because if he rose from the dead, then the Bible's true and you're in trouble. And I'm right. How did you get him out of that tomb? Well, I don't believe he was ever in the tomb. Okay, then how come these people died giving the testimony that they saw him alive? Well, they were lying. Okay, why? What did they get out of it?
Yeah.
Death. Do you know who really did a great job with this? And you can read it in some of his books. Charles Colson. Charles Colson was an avowed skeptic, had no concern about eternal things. Then he was arrested, went to prison, one of the few Nixon people who actually served considerable prison time. And he began to read the Bible. And he looked at the training he'd had as a skeptic to say, well, it was all just a conspiracy to say Jesus lied. It was a lie. Say he rose from the dead. And he said, I looked at that and I said, wait a minute. I was part of a conspiracy. There was a half dozen to a dozen of us who were devoted devotees of conservatism and Richard Nixon. We said we were willing to give our lives to advance the cause of the conservative movement and the presidency of Richard Nixon. We broke into Watergate. We committed crimes. We did all this stuff to advance the cause of Richard Nixon and conservatism. And the minute the FBI swooped in, they threatened us with what? Subpoenas. Fines. Maybe some prison time. And by prison time, what did that mean?
Life.
A few years in a club fed. And what happened to almost every single one of those conspirators? Long before we were actually put on the block, we weren't in court having been found guilty, and the judge ready to, wait, I want a deal. We hadn't even been arrested yet. And what did almost every member of that conspiracy do?
Fell apart, yeah.
I want a deal. He said, I've watched men who claimed they were so committed squeal like pigs. And the worst they could have done with us was throw us in jail for a handful of years. The worst. And he said, and I looked at the New Testament disciples, the apostles, and the torture that they suffered, and not one of them squealed like a pig, not one. And he said, on that day, I knew it was not a hoax. I'd been part of a conspiracy. I knew what happened to conspiracies. I knew what happened to committed people when they were facing. And they didn't do what we did. What can explain that? And the only answer he came up with was,
It's true.
it's all true. And he lived out the rest of his life serving Christ. I say that because what does 1 Peter tell us? 1 Peter chapter 3.
I think it was only him and G. Gordon Liddy. Island, the rest of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially guys like John Dean.
John Dean, he rolled over like a Labrador wanting its tummy rubbed. He was on his back just in 30 seconds. And he wasn't alone. There was a bunch of them they rolled over so fast they couldn't sit up and beg. But what does 1 Peter 3:15 say?
But in your hearts, set apart Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But-
So what is the reason for the hope that Christians have? In one word or two words,
Resurrection.
the resurrection.
Mm.
So you should be able to defend the resurrection the way that I just did in this 45 minutes. You should be able to sit down with a person and walk them through that. May ask them the questions. How did he get out of the tomb? Don't say, well, Jesus, ask them the question. Put them on the spot. Why should we believe the resurrection? Well, there's no reason. Well, what about testimony? What if they lied? Well, ask them the question. Why would they lie? You only lie for two reasons. To get something you don't deserve, to get out of something you don't want. Only two reasons you lie, right? Which of those did they get? What did they get that they wanted?
Nothing.
What did they lose that they didn't want to lose? Not only their life, but the
Reputation.
not just dying, but dying peacefully. Who wants to be tortured to death? Is that something that people put on? I've got a bucket list, and at the top of my bucket list is being tortured to death. In fact, if there's an anti-bucket list, that one probably goes at the very bottom. Everybody knows they have to die. One of the things on the bucket list for a lot of people is what? To die peacefully in my sleep. They didn't get that. It's not just they died, it's how they died.
You had a third.
Well, again, I want to get these people that what I want or what I don't want can be for me or for others. A parent will often lie for their child. Well, Bobby spray painted my car last night. My son wouldn't do that. He was home all night.
Never heard that.
In school, we have parents coming in my child doesn't deserve getting that F that they got. They studied really hard. Okay, here was the study exam that they had to go over, and here's the proof they never even opened the file. Well, but I'm telling you he studied. Okay, you can tell me whatever you want, but the evidence is no, he didn't.
What did he study?
But again, it's
Yeah,
what they want is to get their child out of. So it comes down, you can remove that to other people that you care about. And the Hebrew midwives, they cared about the people of their own race,
Yeah.
of the Jewish people. Rahab cared about these. First of all, why was she doing that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, God's gonna crush this place. I don't want to be part of that. I'll side with you guys.
Yeah.
Just remember my family.
So Peter is saying here, we need to be able to go through that with someone. You should be able, there's two things that you should master fairly quickly as a Christian. Number one is the evidence for the resurrection, because that's Christianity is going to come down to that one. Why Christianity, not Islam? Why Christianity, not Buddhism? Why Christianity, not TM? Why Christianity, not New Age? Why Christianity, not anything else? And it's going to come down to the resurrection. The second thing is creation. You should be able to scientifically defend creation. Why?
Because it's the lesser light, it's the first thing you're gonna come to.
Because that's the great attack in our society against the Bible. The attack against the Bible comes down to creation. And the reason so few people today take the Bible seriously compared to is because, well, we just got here by evolution.
They don't see Genesis 1 to 11 as history.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And I just heard a news fact. This genetic stuff, this genome project stuff is really yielding some great things for Christianity. For years and years and years, they said, well, we just evolved from apes. Do you know what they found just recently? They went back and they can now extract enough DNA. They can need so little that they can extract DNA from the fossils that they claim are pre-humans, transitional states. And they can take that DNA out and they can map that DNA. And do you know what they found between all of those proto-humans and actual humans?
They found that they came from one man and one woman.
They did find that. That was 30 years ago. They've now found that there is a single chromosome in human beings that is not in any animal, and it cannot be formed naturally. It is the splicing of two chromosomes that are spliced together artificially. And the entirety of our ability to think, all of our human gap in intellect between humans and apes, humans and dolphins, humans and whatever, is based in that one gene. Our ability to feel emotions, to have self-awareness, it comes from that one chromosome in that one gene. And it is two chromosomes that are artificially spliced together. And that's why we're able to sit here and talk language and a gorilla can't. And there is no possible way that our science understands for those two things to have been joined together naturally. There was an outside force that changed the genetic code of life to create human beings. Is that utterly astounding? I just heard that Friday, and my jaw hit the floor.
So saying that man cannot possibly have evolved from Adam.
Right. It is simply not possible.
I was always curious about that because what part of us would have continued to evolve, and then what other part would have stayed to remain apes?
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. As far as like evolution in general.
Yeah, and in the short term, any movement away from apes is a negative thing, because in the short term, who has the advantage, ape or human? If we're both just set out in the wild, standing there, who has the advantage?
Ape.
The ape does.
Do you understand how strong a gorilla is? Yeah, gorillas can easily lift 800 pounds.
Even smaller. monkeys.
Yeah. In the long term, because we could develop tools, we became superior. But in the short term, the day that this baby is born of an ape that's not an ape, but is more human-like, is that going to be a positive thing or a negative thing?
Negative.
That kid isn't going to live in that ape thing. That's why evolution doesn't work. God bless. Have a great day. But those two things, so study in those two areas so that you can give an answer. 1 Peter 3:15.
Jack, you can tell Louis not an ape.
I
He
know,
just acts
he'll
like
love it.
You're not an ape, you just play one on TV.
Yeah. You remember Groucho, Jack first said, well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. You just don't bring your family into this.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.